What's up, TRB fans? Today's episode is brought to you by Star Wars Card Trader by Topps Digital Collectibles app. Collect and trade digital collectibles, including new weekly exclusive Mandalorian episodic content. Download the app and relive the entire Star Wars saga from 1977's A New Hope to Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, on your quest to collect your favorite heroes, villains, weapons, spacecraft, and more. The Topps app brings your Star Wars collection to life with a fun, thematic user experience, in-app features like Workbench, a collectible trade-in function, the ability to trade 24/7, set wish and trade lists so others can see which collectibles are on your radar, and a set completion tracker to monitor all your progress. To celebrate Episode 9's premiere later this month, the app recently launched a brand new Kylo Ren inspired set aptly titled I'll Show You the Dark Side, which includes amazing types of never before seen collectibles. Star Wars Card Trader by Topps is available worldwide for a free download and can be found in both the iTunes App Store or Google Play Store.
So we all know that Episode 9 is ending the Skywalker saga, as it has always been called. The last couple of years, I guess. But what if we are time jumping in The Rise of Skywalker? And I'm not talking about Hayden Christensen's movie Jumper. I'm talking about a time gap like we saw in Solo, which was like a year later, 3 years later. Is it possible that can happen? We're going to talk about that right here. It is the Resistance Broadcast. Welcome back, everybody. I'm John. Thank you so much for joining us today on this Thursday, or if you're watching or listening over the weekend. Either way, you're with us, and we are excited to have you because we are 2 weeks away from The Rise of Skywalker coming out. That is insane, guys. James and Lacey with me as always. James, he's not going to get into it now because he has his coverage, but he was just at the global press conference, which took place yesterday. Things are happening in the base. We have people outside of the base over in Hollywood and stuff. It's absolutely nuts. So guys, there's a lot of craziness going on here. I didn't want to do Will of the Force this week just because we're so close to the movie that doing that almost seems pointless. So I thought one with the Force might be a good way to go. So James, what is going on with Mr. Baze Malbus?
The Force is with me, and I'm one with the Force.
Baze is dead. I don't know if you saw the movie.
Wait, so the Baze is not open?
Like, I'm pretty sure what you just heard was his last words.
I think, yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and do this. We got 4 questions this week. We're going to kick this one off with, so one with the Force, you guys know you just got to pick one answer. This one is name one director you'd be disappointed to hear announced as the director for the next Star Wars movie in 2022. Lacey, I'm going to start with you on this one. Who's the one director you would be like, dang it?
Quentin Tarantino.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like any of his movies. I don't think he's that good. Ooh. He's all about gore and swearing and
feet.
Just not, it would not ring for me if they pick that for Star Wars. I'd be like, no, get out of here. You get out. I think that's the fastest answer I've ever given on the Force.
Could be. John, well, what director do you not want to show up? And are you a Quentin Tarantino fan?
I'm hit or miss with Tarantino. I like his vibe. I like his like rebellious personality. Like it's my way or the highway, and that kind of deal. But I do like a lot of his movies. But my pick, who would I be disappointed to hear announced? Tim Miller. Yeah, I like Deadpool, but it's been reported that he clashed heavily with Ryan Reynolds, and that was a difficult production. You heard the same exact thing just come out about him clashing with James Cameron on the new Terminator movie. So where there's smoke, there's fire, and the last thing Star Wars productions need out of their director is someone who's going to be clashing with creatives or executives. So if I heard that they brought him in, because in fairness, Deadpool did well. It was critically acclaimed. Fans loved it. Terminator tanked, but it was acclaimed. It was like they finally made a good Terminator movie, whatever. I didn't see it, but no one saw it, actually.
My husband saw it.
It was him and like 3 other people, I think. But
he was in a theater by himself, and he said it was okay.
There you go. But yeah, I just that would make me nervous. That where we go again, more drama, and we were supposed to be on solid ground here. So Tim Miller is my pick.
Yeah, I took this question, I think, kind of like how Lacey took it, is like, I don't think they would ever hire Quentin Tarantino. Like, it would just never happen, right? And I think that there could maybe randomly be a chance that they would do Tim Miller, but I like I said, I'm more on Lacey's side. I would not want Wes Anderson to ever touch Star Wars.
Right. No, I agree.
I absolutely agree with that.
I almost went for I'm like, well, what would be like the worst option? I mean, there's probably worse options than that, even like with a Hallmark movie director or something, and I don't even know what to say there. But I just think there's something about his style, and I'm not like a fan really at all. Like, I wouldn't say, I'm not saying his stuff's bad. I'm just saying I just don't dig it like at all. I don't care. And I would just think that if he was even like, if he even was like, no, I'm gonna do it like JJ does it or something, I'd be like, this is just a bad scenario, I don't want him compromising his style. I don't want him doing his style either. So it's just a bad situation altogether.
He's the guy responsible for making Bill Murray not funny anymore.
I think Bill Murray loves Wes Anderson. I think that's his.
You know what? He's searching for that Oscar. That's why, and he thinks these artsy movies are going to get him that.
The thing is, like, I think that a lot of the people that are in his movies, like, absolutely are like, that's the type of movie I want to do. Like Jeff Goldblum, wants to do those types of movies. Owen Wilson, you know what I mean? Even him. He he will do the other movies, but he really wants to do Wes Anderson movies.
Like, imagine a Star Wars movie in like sepia tone with like a Jedi sitting on a couch staring at the camera for an hour and a half.
Who's
Kill me.
Edward Norton?
Yeah.
He surprises me that he does those types of movies.
Why? That guy has the personality of like an eggplant.
No, because he does really good movies, and then he does Wes Anderson movies too, and I'm like, I don't see why you would want to do these, because you're doing those.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
But then Grand Budapest Hotel was, I don't know. All right.
I need to find more ways to use
Edward Norton is so great.
The eggplant phrase. I need to find more ways to say that.
Anytime someone who has no personality, I just pick any inanimate, non-sentient object.
Personality of an eggplant.
You think Edward Norton doesn't have a personality?
No, not really.
Did you see Birdman?
I did. Birdman
was great.
It was okay.
Birdman was great.
I think you're more infatuated with the single shot thing. I can read you, Baney. I know what's going on.
No. I'm fascinated with the scene where they're both on the stage. And they're reading and they're going through the lines, and he's like, my lines too?
Michael Keaton carried that movie.
Remember how sad it was when he pulled out his acceptance speech and then didn't win, had to put his acceptance speech back?
Keaton?
Yeah. They just play the clip in reverse, and then they cut back to him, and he's like, they just put it back.
Well, wasn't it? Didn't Bill Murray have a very visible reaction when he didn't win too? One time, like he rolled his eyes or something like that.
I mean, that's probably happened a lot with a lot of different people. I don't remember that specifically.
TRB getting really involved with the award
film
stuff.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to the next one. We've seen 4 chapters of The Mandalorian. In your opinion, which director did the best job with their episode between Dave Filoni, Rick Famuyiwa, Deborah Chow, and Bryce Dallas Howard? John, we're starting with you on this one. Who did the best, in your opinion?
So last Friday, and I don't say this often, but James Baney brought up a great point. That it was kind of more of a situation with like who drew what straw and got to direct which content. And I agree with that. And I'll let James elaborate on that a bit more, I guess. But I have to go with Deborah Chow still, because having watched those 4 episodes, I do feel like the way it was directed really pulled me in. A lot of the scenes made me feel like I was in them. I don't know if that's because of POV shots of when he was like spying on Werner Herzog inside the wall and that kind of thing. I felt like I was there. I felt like I was a part of it. And I kind of like that. And I don't know if that's direction or what, but I do think to this point, and it's my highest rated episode on the Pedro Pascal face scale. So I got to give it to Deborah Chow so far.
Lacey, what were your thoughts?
I think Deborah Chow did the best job, not just because of the episode, but because of the choices she made throughout the episode, with point of view shots, sweeping shots, following the action, stuff like that. She did the best job.
All right. So to give a little bit on what John was saying, just real quick, is I said, I think it's kind of odd sometimes that the stories are so captivating that it's difficult to see who's really doing the best job as far as directing, because we're so hooked in on what's happening here. Like, hey, you get the episode where with the tiny Yoda, and you get to do the Mandalorians coming over the thing, and then the heavy infantry. Everybody's gonna love it. Also, Rick Famuyiwa, yeah, you get the one with the egg. Yeah, he's gotta go find an egg. Stretch that out to 34 minutes. Feel free to make someone steal the parts so that he has to go get them, and then he will rebuild his ship. So really nothing happens. That's your episode. Direct it well. It's like, guy, I don't know. What can you do with that? But I'm for my pick, and I'm cheating, but you'll realize what I'm saying here. Dave Filoni and Bryce Dallas Howard, I think, did the best jobs. And the reason is because both of them are first times.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Because you're going up against Rick and Deborah, who have a history of doing this type of work. I know Dave Filoni has directed Rebels too, but I think that everybody has eyes on these two people, and they are keeping up with these respected and well-versed directors.
And he's directing tomorrow's episode, right? Chapter 5.
Yes. Yeah. Dave Filoni is. Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the next one. The Rise of Skywalker is going to open in 2 weeks, as we were talking about before. What is one question you need the movie answered for you? Lacey, you're starting us off.
Is Kylo Ren Ben Solo going to die? That's my answer.
That's the one.
That is my answer. Or question. For it, answer
right.
the question.
It's the answer to the question. Yeah.
It's a question as my answer.
That's the question that is an answer.
Are you saying, just to clarify, because that answer interests me, because obviously that's something that will either happen or not, unless they make it, uncertain what happened to him.
Open-ended.
Yeah. That'd be brutal.
I'm saying that if I leave the theater and it's not answered, I'm going to not be satisfied.
I got what you're saying. Okay, cool. Yeah.
All right. Well, John, do you have a question specifically?
I think so. And I think, you and I have been saying we need to have this discussion on the podcast. I need to find out definitively, hopefully, what it really means to have balance in the Force.
Good luck.
I know, because you have George Lucas for years and years saying it was the Jedi destroying the Sith. And then now it's become they both dark and light need to exist, which I don't like. So I am very curious to see what JJ does with it. Now you're bringing Palpatine back, so you have two Darksiders. You have Rey, the one light side. I'm very curious to see what he does with it, and I agree. I don't know that we're getting that answer, but I kind of need it to know where we're going forward, because then you have the whole Freddie Prinze Jr. thing where he's saying this is what it is. So I don't know, but yeah, I think that's a discussion we need to have on the podcast after episode 9 comes out.
I had a kind of hard time with this question, because I think for me personally, the answer is I don't need to have any question answered. I'm totally on for the ride, and I will piece together my mind of what happened in that movie after I see what happened in that movie. So I don't want to go in with something like, if I'm going to be bummed if this question doesn't get answered. But for the argument's sake of it, I think probably the main one for me is, I don't even know if it's a question. I just want to know, I want to see more of Snoke. I want them to go down and talk a little bit about that stuff.
That's interesting.
So I think that's kind of the thing that, like, going into it, I think there's a little part of me that goes, all right, we're going to get those answers, you know, they're going to tie that loose end. And if they don't do it, then I guess I'll be like, man, I wish I guess we'll have to wait for a book or something, you know? I mean, I guess the answer might be in what the upcoming comic series, but I kind of hope they don't do that, because nobody's going to read those comics. And I don't, you know what I mean when I say nobody, because John does it all the time. Nobody meaning the mass majority of people in the grand scheme of things. So that would be my answer to that. So let's move on to the last one. We're going to try to name one existing Star Wars character you would be very interested in being the central focus of a Disney Plus series. I assume live action, right? That is not Han Solo. Can't say Han Solo because we love make Solo 2 happen, but we're not gonna give the same answer here, right?
Right.
John, you're up first.
Sheev Palpatine.
Wow.
So prequel.
I thought you were gonna say underrated.
Underrated. Yeah. Prequel series, training under or working with Plagueis, and leading up to him killing Plagueis and taking over as the Sith Lord. I think that'd be provocative. I think people would love it, and I think they could find the right actor to do it. I would be down with like a Tom Hiddleston type of situation.
I was gonna ask, are you a Tom Hiddleston guy or more of a Matt Smith kind of guy?
Never heard of him. Tom Hiddleston, I think would be a good choice, but that type of series would interest me very much, and I can't get enough of Palpatine, and it's a story that needs to be told in canon once again. So yeah,
I meant that as a joke, but what if that story was confused, and they're like, oh, Matt Smith, key role, he's playing Palpatine, Rise of Skywalker, and then it was a total mix. It was he's eyed for the role in the TV series.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, you heard that rumor here first.
Right. The TRB
All right, Lacey.
Theory special.
Yeah. What would be your pick? Who's your character?
I believe I answered this question a couple weeks ago. And my answer is still the same, and it's Enfys Nest. I think that she's a great character, if not one of the best characters that's come out in the new Disney era. And I think there's just a lot to explore there of where she came from, how she started the rebellion, where is she now, what happened. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, Enfys Nest is cool. I would watch that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Get the Cloud Riders in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is a tough question, John. So many good answers. I have like 3 or 4 that I want to say, but I'm going to go with the one that we've heard could potentially happen. I think Dr. Aphra would be a great television show.
Get out of here.
This is after John did a 10-minute video about why it's not going to happen.
Was James one of my downvotes
Yeah,
on
and
my
I
video?
disagree with everything that he says in that video.
Did you downvote me?
No, I didn't downvote you.
Oh, man.
But I think John has a lot of points which are like nobody knows who this character is, and I stand on the ground that they don't have to know who that character is. You can introduce a character for the very first time to an audience and just say, you don't have to know anything about him. You don't have to know about Mandalorian culture or anything. Right. We're handing you a character. Let's learn about him. And I think that a show that's adventure-based and is just like a young Indiana Jones type of a show, but set in the Star Wars universe, is like, you don't have to read the comics to know that is a good time. That's a good show. That's a good premise for a Star Wars universe type of a character to follow. And then I think they could lead with, an Asian actress, so that's like two demographics that deserve some light. But anyway, I'm just saying, I think that could be a really good show, and that would be a really good character to put another push behind. So,
John, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Go to the Star Wars Newsnet YouTube channel and watch the Roman Fury review. Brought to you by Star Wars Newsnet and the Resistance Broadcast Patron.
All right, that wraps up One with the Force. Let's head over to the Patreon pod race. Right? Lacey, what do you got?
All right, guys, time for the Patreon pod race, where we don't talk about Dr. Aphra. So you can support us in lots of different ways, from liking, commenting, subscribing, following us on Twitter at RBATSWNN, but also contributing at our Patreon, which is patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. So we have tiers starting from $2 up to our top tier, which are generals, and the generals have the ability to be a part of the show. And this week we have General Jeremy, and his question, which I don't have in front of me right now, which I am failing, was going back to the whole director conversation, which was, Deborah Chow will be directing every episode of the Kenobi streaming series. Having seen the third episode of The Mandalorian and how she directs Star Wars, did it change your excitement for the Kenobi series in any way, for good or bad? So General Jeremy, take it away.
What's up, Resistance? Hope all is well. Everybody's doing well at the base. Gotta be honest, I had no real background knowledge of Deborah Chow before episode 3 of The Mandalorian, other than reading that she was going to take over the Kenobi series. So I had to go back and see if I'd watched anything that she had her hands in. And yeah, I'd seen all of Jessica Jones and Lost in Space, so I saw the episodes that she did. So then with what she did with episode 3 of The Mandalorian, yeah, it killed it. By far the best episode so far. Can't say it really raises or lowers my expectations of Kenobi, because he's the greatest, and I'm so looking forward to that series, and it's going to be fantastic one way or the other. So knowing that she did so well in episode 3, and hopefully the future episode she does, it definitely gives me a little bit of excitement, but I'm already way excited for Kenobi. So with that, I hope everybody has happy holidays, stay safe this winter, and look forward to talking to you soon. General Jeremy out.
All right. That was a very good answer. John, what do you think?
Well, I did not know. I didn't look into stuff Deborah Chow has done prior, just out of laziness. I have the internet. I can look things up. I just didn't do it.
Right.
So Jeremy just let me know that she did Jessica Jones work, which I watched and I thought was entertaining. So that's cool. I mean, he makes a good point that there's people that are going to be hyped about Kenobi, whether Weird Al Yankovic is directing the series. So it's like
which would be awesome.
Does he direct things? Who knows? The whole soundtrack would be like accordions and stuff. I don't know if that's the way to go.
Polka.
Yeah, but I think he has a point, and a lot of people are on that they're hyped either way. So that and he still liked her episode and what she did, but it didn't necessarily affect good or bad. So I think that's a good take. I think that's a more mainstream take if you polled people on that. So good job, Jeremy. As always, thanks for all your support. You're always great in the Discord chats when you're popping in, and keep farming. Your special kind of farming, as always.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think she did an amazing job with The Mandalorian, and I love Jessica Jones. But I'm not someone that knows exactly people's work unless there's someone like what we said with like a Wes Anderson, where it's like clearly someone, their style and their aesthetic. That being said, I agree with you that Kenobi is the greatest and that this show is going to be awesome. So I think that no matter who was directing, I would have been excited. So I kind of agree with you there. James, what do you think?
I can't watch any of those Marvel shows. I can't get through them. None of them. I watched one episode of Jessica Jones and I was like, I can't do it. And the most I've ever watched was like 3-4 episodes of Daredevil. And I was like, no, this is terrible. I can't watch it.
Do you like Marvel Comics at least?
The comics?
Marvel Comics?
I don't know. I don't really read. I mean, I read the Star Wars Marvel comics, but I don't read the like regular comics. No.
I'm trying to
about the comments though. I'm exactly with you. Besides, I didn't watch any of Deborah Chow's stuff. But yeah, I don't think it changes my excitement one way or the other that I know that she's going to be handling the whole episode. I think that's interesting, or whole series is what I mean to say. The whole question kind of reminds me of J.J. Abrams was on Colbert the other day, and he was like, our next guest is most famous for directing season 3, episode 10 of The Office.
Yeah.
He brings about J.J. Abrams. Yeah. It's just kind of one of those things, like it's, I'm not trying to downplay like TV directors, but I think like the main focus of that show is going to be like the writing, the story and stuff like that. And the direction is like part of the process that, makes it good. But I don't know. I don't feel like it's like a huge takeaway. I feel like we're almost putting too much on these directors as if they're the directors of the movie. And it's like, this is John and Dave's thing, So,
right.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy. Now we're going to head over to John for the discussion.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
Okay, so discussion this week. Could Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker have a time jump in the movie? Not it taking place, a year after The Last Jedi. We're talking about in the movie, could they jump some time? So, recent Star Wars movies have introduced new elements to storytelling techniques, namely flashbacks and time jumps. We saw flashbacks start in The Last Jedi, and time jumps happen in Solo, when Han found himself flying through the air, quite literally, on Mimban. The Last Jedi introduced the flashbacks, and this thought was pitched to us by one of our patrons, by the way, Steve Bowman. So thank you, Steve, for this. He kind of asked it as an Ask the Resistance type of question on our Patreon page. I believe he messaged that to us, right, Lacey? He sent it as a message? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes we get your questions on the Patreon page, and we want to make them a full discussion, so that's what we're doing right here. So, could the movie have a time jump of some kind? I'm going to start off, but just by saying, I think it could. I know they did it with Solo, but I still keep the standalone separate from Saga. I do think JJ wants to keep some sort of continuity in place, especially we're ending this one here. I do think he could use it, though, to help conclude the story. So I think if they do implement it, it would be at the end and do an epilogue type of thing, like 1 year has passed and Rey is now building an academy or something, like, who knows. So that's where I'm at. James and Lacey, where are you guys at? Let's start with you. Let's start with James on this one, because I have a feeling you're going to be all pro. Let's time jump the whole movie.
I want to start with Lacey.
Okay.
The reason is because there was a little bit of a face there, and I'm curious why you
the face
were
was
reacting
because I was talking.
No, the face was because we had a little bit of a discussion about this months ago, talking if it was a will of the Force, will they, won't they have a time jump?
Yeah.
And John said no, and I replied yes if it was an epilogue like Harry Potter, where they had something after the movie takes place. Right. And then John just gave my answer. So the face was, how dare you give my answer when months ago you said no.
Can I give you a little TRB history lesson?
Yeah.
Why don't you take yourself all the way back to spring 2018, episode 9 story pitches, and let's see who
Season
said there was
3,
going to be
episode 10 of The Office.
Yeah, let's see who said there was going to be a time jump at the end of episode 9. I'll give you a hint. The name wasn't Lacey Gillerin. It was John Hoey. Book it.
All in good fun. All in good fun. I'm just joking around.
So you incepted me, and then I incepted you back and took it back for me.
Okay, whatever. Long story short, I agree with you 100%. Wow. I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think that they're going to do a jump in the middle of the movie. The only passing of time is going to be before the movie starts, which was a year. Otherwise, I don't know. I feel like it would get confusing. Like even Avengers to me felt weird with that 5-year jump.
That was strange to me too. I agree.
I disagree, man. I loved that.
Ooh.
But I'll say this before we go off on that, or if we even need to.
Sure.
The reason I was going to jump in, or I let you jump in, is that I saw that and I was like, I think she thinks the same thing as John, which is unfortunate because I too also was thinking that same thing. So I don't know if we've been, we're just like all on the same page because we've talked about it numerous times. I feel like last time it happened, and I'm kind of afraid to say who said it at this point, but one of you said it, and I was like, that makes sense to me. I like that. And then anytime time jumps get brought up, I go, yeah, that makes the most sense. Because I think that the big thing here, we all know it's going to happen at the beginning, and then the movie's going to start, right? Sure. The second option is somewhere in the middle of the movie, there's a time jump. And the third option is after the story's over, there's a time jump. So that's, right. There's only those 3 options, unless you want to say they keep like, or unless you want to count like them kind of time traveling thing. Like we talked about them going over to like Tatooine and stuff, or force. There's all those, that flashbacky stuff type too. But I hate to be so the same as everybody else, but I think that makes the most sense because we saw it in Rebels and it was like the best part,
right.
Of that
that's true.
Last episode.
Yeah.
There's something so final about them being able to say, and then that all happened. Now here's where we are. Everybody's safe and sound. This is how it wrapped up.
It's closure. You feel like you got closure. Yeah.
Like even there was closure on episode 6 when they made it. But I think now knowing what they know of like, this is supposed to be 1 through 9. That's it. I feel like they might really try to lock in like, and that was that. Yeah. That's how it happened.
You see it a lot. They did it in Hunger Games. They did it in Harry Potter. They do it in a lot of stuff. You talk about
Hunger Games so much like it's a good movie franchise. Just... Jeez.
Because it is over the course of many years, and it also is a war.
Just imagine like George Lucas being like, so the end of my saga is being inspired by taking influence from the Hunger Games.
I never said it was in influence. I said it's possible to happen because they've done it in other popular franchises.
Yeah. Oh, Lord of the Rings too. That movie had like 12 epilogues.
It did. The whole bed scene.
Yeah. Like the last 45 minutes of that movie, I thought was the end of the movie.
What do you consider a time jump?
That's the other thing I wanted to bring up. Like, how like the Mandalorian's been doing the Rocky montages? Like, is the Resistance getting ready and doing something like that? Like, and it happens to be a course of a month. Is that a time jump? Even though they won't say 1 month later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or like last we saw Luke, he was in an X-Wing fighter, and then at the end of the movie, they time jump 10 days ahead, and he's walking down the aisle to get his medal. It's like, there's a time jump there. It's just, what do you consider a time jump? That's still like in the same span of time. So I think
it's got to be like 6 months to a year at least. Like a substantial amount of time that changes
or anything that has like a subtitle at the bottom that's like 1 month later. You know what I mean? That wouldn't normally count, but because they're going out to say like enough time has passed,
Right. Like Avengers 5 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely do not see them doing anything in the meat of the movie. I think that would be kind of strange, and I don't know what would necessitate it. I feel like we're kind of going to be where we are. Like the whole Palpatine's been waiting, or whatever we wind up finding out what he's been doing is leading up to the Rise of Skywalker's starting point. Like, that's why this story is being told, because this is when he's coming back. So that's why that 1 year wasn't... That's why, the Rise of Skywalker doesn't take place right after TLJ, because not as much happened in that 1 year. This is the story that needs to be shown to us, because it's time now. So it's not going to be like, well, let's start the movie and do this stuff, and then 1 year later, Palpatine's back. That wouldn't make too much sense. You know what I mean?
Right. No, that totally makes sense.
All right, I'm going to go wild on you.
Oh, boy.
Uh-oh.
This is going to get a big fat no from both of you, probably. What if the movie starts right or similarly like right after Last Jedi, and we see them like being like, oh man, that was devastating. We need to find our people. We need to gather our people, and they go on a mission, and then like something happens. And then they say, all right, this is the begin. We need to build this war. And then they go 1 year later, and 90% of the movie takes place in that time span. So when they were talking about the movie and they're like, when does it take place? And they're like, well, I mean, it takes place a year after The Last Jedi. Does that mean it starts a year after The Last Jedi? Or would they like have a time jump in the movie where then the majority of the movie takes place a year later?
James? How about no? Okay, no.
Can I admit that you kind of scared me for a second? I was like, and then I realized what it was.
That's not a bad idea.
I can see what you're saying with that, but the reason I'm saying no is because they've already established with the big text in the beginning that if there's any time that passes, that's the time to establish it.
The crawl?
Yeah. Like, because then they'd be like, we pick off right at the end of blah, 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 and then that happens, and then the time jump. Like, it just seems redundant in the story to do that. So you'd start it with, it's been time since blank. Like, 1 year has passed since.
Yeah, did they do that for Avengers? Did they say, when does Endgame take place? And the answer was, well, we know you haven't seen the movie, but it takes place 5 years later.
They didn't mention the 5 years. They just said it takes place after the events of the first one.
Yeah. Yeah.
They could do a crawl that... Yeah, I don't know if they would, because, you have the Resistance Reborn thing, which kind of already is the filler. So to start 9 again, where they're on the ship and Leia is like drinking her tea and talking to people, it's just like they used the book for that, to see where they were. Yeah, that's one of my concerns, though, is like you have this book that they're like, what are we going to do? We got to rebuild. And then they get all excited about it. And then supposedly, a year later, 6 months later after that book, you're going to start Rise of Skywalker. And they're all going to be like, what are we going to do? We need to find people to help fight for us. It's like, you guys had this conversation 6 months ago.
But the crawl in the beginning establishes all of that.
That's what I have thought was going to happen for a long time. The crawl was going to come up, and they said the Resistance has been screwed for a month, but they've been rebuilding their forces. They went and they got with the Moncala. They're just telling you what happened in all the comics.
Wait, who do you think? That's an interesting point, James.
They've been screwed for a month.
Yeah, that's the capital word. There's always a capital word. Screwed is in all caps. The Resistance has been screwed. Just full cap letters. We should do, you can make the crawl. We should do that and just like say, this is the crawl for episode 9.
The Resistance has been screwed.
The Resistance has been screwed royally. I think what's interesting is what will the crawl contain? Because this is the last crawl. So is it going to be focused on a central character? Is it going to be, Kylo Ren's been searching for artifacts, or, is it going to be
it's
more about...
It's going to say now Supreme Leader. It's not Supreme Leader Kylo Ren.
Definitely. Yeah. But is it going to be like new dark energy or dark forces are arising or being felt across the galaxy, or mysterious lightning bolts are showing up, or are they going to tease Palpatine in the crawl in a sense? You know what I mean? I feel like they must have to at least allude to that presence.
I think they're opening with Pisana. I think that's the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, it's so funny that I just don't.
Where it's like Rey and the team are on Pisana, and then it's going to do the tilt up, and then they're on Pisana.
I feel like the crawl's going to start with
that last line. Rey and the team are on Pisana. ...
Yeah.
Tilt up.
Well, they got to start with like first order ships or something in space, I think.
Is there any chance that they say, this is the scenario, this is the resistance, first paragraph, this is what the First Order has been doing, second paragraph, third paragraph, but an unsolved, thing is happening in the outer regions or something like that, our heroes are about to figure out or whatever. And then ... And then it cuts down and we see like our first glimpse of like the army or the Sith army or something. Maybe like General Pride is in the first scene.
Imagine he gets blown away in the first scene.
Oh, yeah. He's like, I will have my event.
Yeah.
He's just like, he only has 4 words.
Yeah. Yeah.
So time skips.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's not much else to really talk about the time jumps, in my opinion. So I don't mind branching it out into other areas. But, the time jump or lack thereof could influence other things too, like if they don't do a time jump, there's a lot of pressure on how to end this movie, because do you just put a bow on it and do the let's all take a group photo thing? Like, I don't know if that's satisfying. It's satisfying maybe in a happy way, but is it like, it's kind of like vanilla, you know what I mean? Like we saw that photo in Return of the Jedi,
and I loved it.
I know, but I would just feel kind of like...
What's your perfect ending, then?
I don't have one. Because, I don't know. Maybe R2 and 3PO kind of like saying something to each other and like overlooking something. Like overlooking people, at least. Not just the whole... Like, it literally looks like a group photo. Like someone has a camera and they're all like, hey, pose now. So I don't know. I think R2 and 3PO would be good for me to close it out, and they each say something to each other.
Speaking of time, what would ruin this movie for me is time travel.
Actual time travel?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would ruin Star Wars, I think.
Yeah. Since we're talking about time. Like, It's one thing to be like, it's been a month. But like to be like, yes, let me go into this portal, which changes time.
Yeah, they flirted with that idea, but then they literally destroyed the world between worlds when that like cave collapsed. But I don't think that they would introduce that here.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a little bit about teleportation, and like they're fighting, and then boom, they're fighting on Tatooine, and then boom, they're fighting on Mustafar. That's not quite time travel, but it would be interesting if the Force is doing that in that moment. I don't think it would be that much crazier for the Force also to be like, boom, you're on Tatooine. Oh, there's Luke. Boom, you're on Mustafar. Oh, there's Vader. You would
also need an explanation, though, right? Like, why is all of a sudden the Force doing this when it's never happened?
Not necessarily, man. I mean, there's no explanation as to how, something starts flying around. They didn't explain it in Empire Strikes Back. That's it. The Force can do that.
No, I know, but what do you mean something flying around?
His lightsaber. Or
flying
like
around?
objects that like Darth Vader's throwing at Luke.
Yeah, but we saw Force manipulation. We saw Vader choke someone in the very first Star Wars movie, and that didn't involve kinetic contact. But I mean, I think like the Force implementing teleportation is a much bigger thing than moving a box at someone's head. You know what I mean? Like it is, I guess,
not any crazier than like projection or something.
Like, where's the limit on the Force? I guess that is one concern I have.
But that's the question. That's what Chris Terrio said when he was going in to write it. What are the limitations of the Force?
They need to put a ceiling on it, or else someone's going to get a hold of a Star Wars movie one day and just absolutely just ruin everything.
Do X2?
Okay. I don't know.
X2, or was it The Last Stand? I don't remember which one. X2 was good, though.
Or maybe it was Last Stand.
The one where Jean Grey's like just has every power.
Yes. And she peels people's skin off.
Yeah. She turns them into dust.
I remember seeing somebody
Terrible.
talk about that movie and they were like, why does Magneto, the one man who can control all metal, have a secret fortress in the woods?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah.
Like, why would that be the place that you're like, we have to set up our shop and, make it so this is our own personal military base?
That's why Brett Ratner's not doing a Star Wars movie. But
yeah,
that is a concern I have, though. Is like, I feel like they need to, maybe George Lucas did, like when he sold it, he's like I remember I made up my thing, like he probably said, these are the rules and you have to abide by these. Like, what if he said, like, this is the ceiling for the Force. Like, you can't change.
I don't know, man.
History.
I don't think so.
Like, I wouldn't want them to be like the Force
thought
can.
They did too much with the Force in the prequels?
No.
The fight scenes were a little crazy.
Yeah, like running fast and all doing all this flipping stuff. Honestly, playing Jedi Fallen Order, I'm like, I don't get it. I just literally don't understand why Jedi can't fly. Why? Why can't they fly?
They don't have capes.
Yeah, that's it. But they do it all the time in Rebels. Like, he's like, somebody jump off a cliff and then he like pushes him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, pick him up.
Yeah.
Like, use the Force to pick him up and put them down. Pick your own body up. There's even in the thing you learn the technique, like a double jump. And it's like, that's all they're really doing is like, he jumps up in the air and then he's using the Force to like give him an extra boost. I'm like, keep doing that. Just like, I don't understand why this is an issue at all. Why has there never been a Jedi that can just fly? I guess Vader has hovered. We've seen that.
What if you use
There's probably other ones too.
What if you use the Force to create a time jump in the movie?
No. I hate it.
What?
Like
what
if
Deadpool power where he breaks the fourth wall and says, JJ, add in the time jump here.
Or no, I said that jokingly, but what if they could just be like, use the Force to like move ahead or something, you know? I guess that's
like
time
Doctor
travel
Strange.
Move ahead
To a
3
degree.
spaces.
Yeah.
Pass go. Collect $200.
I don't know. And
Doctor
I know, like,
Strange has an ability to move things forward and backwards.
Yeah.
Theoretically,
Right.
if the Force had some sort of thing. Honestly, I think it's one of those things like with all those like tricky, really like plot devicey Force techniques, I want to believe that they are real and only one person knows how to use them, and the person who knows how to use them understands that it's too powerful, and so they just
Don't
go away or something. They don't ever teach anybody that technique or something. Or maybe that's a dark side power. Maybe Palpatine's the one who's like trying to time skip around. I mean,
Control time.
he was the one trying to get into the world between worlds to use that for his own manipulation. Maybe he's come up with a new way to skip around.
Look, if they introduce new dark side powers and it comes from Palpatine, I'm fine with that because he's like,
All of a sudden now.
no, well, he's the king of the dark side. Like, he is the guy. Like, if someone's
personality of an eggplant.
if someone's gonna do it, it's gonna be him. So I'd be okay with that. If they were going to do it, have him do it. I don't want Kylo Ren to all of a sudden be like, I know more powers than Palpatine. Like, I don't know. Like, just like I don't think I would want to see Rey know more than what Luke knew. Like, that wouldn't make too much sense to me. So I don't know. It's and I'm sure JJ and Terrio were thinking about that when they were putting this together. Like, what is the limit? Who should know what, and that sort of thing. And we had to keep a little pretty close to true north so we don't get too wild with this last one all of a sudden, because they don't want this movie to be like this wacky, zany, crazy thing. They want it to fit in with the 9 stories. So,
but they also said they wanted to wow you and like make you cry. So,
yeah, but I don't know if the Force powers take that part. I think that's more the human side and people dying or turning dark or whatever. But I guess my other question would be, if they do a time jump, just to round us out here, and they end the movie, do you think there's any chance whatsoever, like a Magneto at the end of the one where he lost his powers, where there's some kind of flicker or something to show that the dark side's still out there somewhere, like a lightning bolt in the distance or anything? Or do you think they're just not going to do that at all?
I think they have to. They have to leave it in a place that if they wanted to do something years from now, they can. Not enough that you're like, oh, I'm not satisfied, I don't have closure, but enough to like give a glimmer of what if.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lacey's looking at the practical side of it. I'm also looking at the lore side of it. Like, I don't think you can just get rid of the dark side.
Right.
I think that if you want to believe what Luke is saying, like, there's rainstorms and lightning and that things are scary sometimes. They're like in literal. There's day and night. So at night, that is the darkness. So I don't think they would go that route.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also that whole
what if the Emperor lives? He like escapes.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
What?
They book McDermott for 3 more movies. I don't know, man. But I do agree with the dark side won't go away forever. But I'm just curious what how that goes. Like, you figure they're gonna kill Palpatine, and then what? And like James, you said, I agree. They need to do a definitive chop his head off. Like, he's definitely dead this time.
I want it so bad. Yeah. I think if Rey did it, it would be not good. But if Kylo Ren did it, people would be like, sick.
Or they both do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What if it is like almost like a Snoke situation where they both kill Palpatine, but instead of teaming up then they both fight after? No one's brought that up. Like, they could team up and then still fight after. That's very possible.
Yes, they could. I
brought that up very, very lightly when I made that tweet about Dragon Ball and how they killed Frieza. Like, he was like the villain of the show. Then they had to team up to beat the bigger villain, and then he was still considered the villain.
Yeah.
So it's like Kylo could be he could recognize that if he wants to keep the First Order, he has to first kill off this guy who's trying to take it all away from him. But then, now that that's said and done, I don't know. I don't think they put the Emperor like in the first half of the movie, and then the rest of it's defeating peon Kylo Ren.
Peon
Right.
Kylo Ren. He's your supreme leader, dude. Show some respect.
No, not compared to the Emperor, you know. But I don't know. I did like your idea though of it had like they both do it kind of a thing. Maybe that's the shot where they're like, if his spirit is really in that Vader helmet, then at the end of it they go, well, the last thing we have to do is we've retrapped him in the helmet. Now we just have to destroy that. Boom, and they both break it. But I don't know. I feel like that's kind of that's the end. And why did they put that in the trailer?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, so all right. Yeah. So we all in agreement?
Yeah.
If they do a time jump, it's at the end to do a little epilogue deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So
just remember, I came up with that.
Yeah, for sure, without a doubt. All right. Well, that is, I think, that for that discussion. You guys don't have anything else to add, right?
Nah, dog.
No, dog. All right.
Nah, dog.
So let us know what you guys think. Obviously, we took some different roads and took a few exit ramps and went down other hallways and any other analogy I can come up with about this discussion, but we came back to time jumps. Let us know what you think. Do you think there would be a time jump in episode 9? If so, when? Do you agree with us that the end makes the most sense. And then about the other things we talked about, chime in, leave a comment, keep the discussion going. Hit us up on Twitter at RBATSWNN, which you also did in this next segment, which I'm going to hand off to Lacey to get through your tweets. So, Lacey, what are we doing?
All right, guys. Time for resistance transmissions. So as you guys know, every week, John puts up a crazy, wacky situation, and you guys give your answers. And the best ones make it on the show. So, the situation is, John Boyega accidentally left his copy. I still can't believe this happened. This actually happened. Left a copy of the Rise of Skywalker script in his hotel. It was actually his apartment, he said. Not hotel. He said it was apartment. But in his apartment, which was almost sold on eBay for £65. J.J. Abrams is all about preventing leaks. What do you think he said to John after it happened? Are you going to try to get me to say these in JJ voices?
No, you don't have to do that.
Okay, great. First is Scott Bowman? Bauman?
Scott Bowman, I would say.
Bowman. At Scotticusmax. He said, ahem, traitor! In all caps.
Can you scream better than that?
That's good.
Traitor.
No, scream. I want you to scream.
No, I'm not going to do that.
You guys want her to scream, right? They said yes.
I
John,
can't
it's
hear
not a
you.
live show.
No, but I watch a lot of Sesame Street with my son.
Let her know. You
Where
want to
they're
hear
like-
some of that screaming.
Where they pretend they're like the
How you
kids think
feel in
they're talking to
Chicago?
you through the screen. They're like, "Hi, welcome back to Mickey's Clubhouse," and then my son's like, "Hey." Just scream
So
it.
he's obviously talking about like Kylo Ren saying traitor in The Force Awakens.
Last chance.
Next is My Chemical Safety Dance at Let Live and Learn, who said, John, I can't believe you lost your script. Because he did lost.
Oh, the TV show.
Next is Darth Krieger at Darth Krieger. Darth Krieger at Darth Krieger.
It's not his name. I'm not giving him credit for that.
You only do it when people are like names?
Yes, like James
You do
Bainey.
it sometimes when people do it on other things.
Never.
She's right. I think you have, John. And I was like, I'm surprised you're giving him credit for that.
At James Bainey. Way to get your handle.
Okay, so Darth Krieger said, sorry, John. I've decided to replace you in the film with a CGI alien from Super 8.
Nice.
Next is The Norse Awakens at The Norse Awakens, who said, try not to lose it again. This script is your life.
What's that
Obi-Wan.
from? Oh. Someone's ready to play.
What is that from?
Attack of the Clones. Little indie movie.
Attack of the Clones.
Oh. Next is Jordan Pate at Hardcase37, which in the notes it says, Lacey, Jordan is the co-lead editor of Star Wars Newsnet. Hi, Jordan. Jordan said, I know it was you, John. You broke my heart. You broke my heart.
What's that from?
I don't know. What is it from?
Godfather Part 2.
I've never seen The Godfather or Godfather Part 2.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Me neither.
You've seen The Hunger Games, but you haven't watched The Godfather. This is what I deal with.
Next is Probus, General Greybeard at P Buff Daddy 00. I love that name, P Buff Daddy. He said, okay, John, so you messed up a little bit, but it's fine. The mouse is rich, so we could have just bought eBay. That would have been incredible. This is a long one. Anyway, since you messed up, you're going to get one line now. We've cut all your lines to this one. It's woo incredible. Which makes sense because all his things are like woo.
Lacey, can you scream woo like Finn?
No. Next is Camray at Cam Ray.
Way to get your handle, Cam.
Way to go, Darth Krieger. You did it too. So this is JJ. Starting high-pitched, his voice lowering as he speaks. What? Did you ever hear the tragedy of Benioff and Weiss?
That is a tragedy, man.
How do you start high and go low?
Well,
oh, no, wait.
That's how
Not
Palpatine...
Benioff and Wise. I was thinking of Lord and Miller.
Oh.
I mean,
well, I
pretty
think Benioff
similar
and Wise
situation.
Well, that's how Palpatine says it. He says, "Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?"
Oh.
I think
it's like
Jiminy Miller
Glick.
was like 80% of the way through the movie, and like they felt like things were going great, and like Benioff and Wise were like, "I got that Netflix money, I'm out."
Yeah,
It's true.
Lord and Miller were they were apparently making Into the Solo-verse, and Kathleen Kennedy was not having any of it.
Next is Todd DeGrossier at Todd Knows Best.
What's up, Todd?
And he said, "So what you did, John, was very not very satisfying." I messed this up.
Holy cow! Let's try that again.
Did John?
The Resistance broadcast is live to tape.
So what you did, John, was not very, and I want to say here. That's why I messed up, because in my head I wanted to go satisfying, and that's why I messed it up. So I'm sorry, Todd, but hopefully I did a little justice there. Next is Eric at Eric_D_23. He says, "JJ, you leak scripts now? Oscar Isaac, he leaks scripts now."
That's a callback to the Rise of Skywalker.
That isn't even out yet.
Whoa! Talk about
Might
time
not
travel.
be in the movie.
Yeah.
And last but not least is Dekine Awakens at Dekine Awakens.
This guy always gets on the show.
I know. Hi, Mark. He said, "John, I wish I could do a really good British accent like him. He has like a very good one, but he has like it's not like, I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about? He's like from a specific part of London." John. Anyway, he said, "I'm so sorry, JJ, but I lost the script. But it's okay. We'll figure this out. We'll use the Force."
Oh.
And JJ goes,
What did JJ say?
"That's not how the Force works." That's a good one.
Yeah, it was good.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being on the show. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN on Twitter. And every week, John puts up some crazy scenario. And you guys give your answers. And then I read them live, never reading them before. And that's why I mess up and read things wrong. John, back to you.
All right, guys.
Friend.
For reals. Thank you so much for watching, listening, being a part of the Resistance. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. We have the Mando Fan Show, Episode 5, coming out. We're going to be joined by Elliot Hansen, the DJ of Star Wars Celebration and Disney Parks. We're going to talk about Chapter 5 of The Mandalorian and give you your next Mando code. So make sure you tune in for that. And because of that, obviously, you're noticing we're putting out more content. Make sure you're subscribed to us. You don't want to fall behind. So keep up. Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, wherever you like your podcasts. If you like watching us, YouTube's the way to go. We have a lot of exclusive videos posting right just to YouTube. And then also, of course, you can go to our Patreon page if you want additional content and become a bigger part of the Resistance. We have a Discord server at tier 3 and up with about 15 different channels. And if you want to stay off social media, that's a great place to go because we have exclusive spoiler chats and non-spoiler chats and that sort of thing. But anyway, go to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. If it hasn't been up yet, it should be up by now. The Force Awakens commentary is fresh on there for you guys. And
December 7th.
That's when we're posting it? Oh, December 7th. See, I don't even know what's going on anymore. Pearl Harbor Day. Happy Pearl Harbor Day, everybody. You're getting the Force Awakens commentary on our Patreon page. So yeah, check out our Patreon page. Thank you for all of your support. If you haven't checked out our Patreon page yet, after you're done watching this, just go hop over there and take a look, because you can start being a part of it at $2 a month. And then go all the way up to tier 5, which is our general. So I do want to say a special thank you to them. And that is Carmelo, Brian Shalito, Andrew Staley, Neil Lowry, Jeremy Myers. Great job on your Podrace, Jeremy. Neil Shaw, David Probus, John Reese, JG Kars, Seth Kime, and Val Trichkov. And you should be going to Star Wars Newsnet every day anyway for your latest Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. I think that is pretty much it for the plugs. So you guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and at Star Wars Newsnet. James?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Meyer Trunks.
Nice. Lacey?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin. It's incredible.
Not screaming traitor or woo, but
Yeah.
there you go.
Can they find you or not find you?
Traitor!
Or not find you? Incredible.
Right.
You can find me on social media.
She's always going viral, let's be honest. All right, guys. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. Next time you see us on TRB, we will be 10 days away from the opening of The Rise of Skywalker in theaters. We're very excited about that. But until then, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the next 5,000 TV spots coming out for The Rise of Skywalker. And we'll see you on Monday morning right here on the Resistance broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.
Bye. That means 10 days closer to getting pied.